Hola clase, bienvenidos al repaso de los verbos. This video is going to be a review of all the verbs we've learned up to this point and give you a sure foundation for the remainder of the class, in which we only have to learn one more type of verb, and then you will know all the verbs in present tense in English. So that should be exciting. We have two majorly important vocabulary terms when it comes to verbs in Spanish. We have the infinitive, which means unconjugated. These are the verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR. They are the original form of the verb. They don't have someone doing it. Conjugated means that that ending, that original ending, that AR, that ER, that IR, is changed because someone is now doing the action. So let's look at the examples of the infinitive verbs: ser, ir, estar, tener, hablar, comer, vivir, and compare them to conjugated verbs. So I chose the same verbs, I just conjugated them into whoever is doing them. I think, yes, I just did yo forms and to forms. So look, for example, soy, voy, como, vivo, tengo, hago, eres, vas, comes, etc. None of those on the conjugated side end in AR, ER, or IR. They're still verbs though, and they still come from the infinitive that originally ended in AR, ER, and IR. Those AR, ER, and IR endings are going to be really important to help us decide what the ending is going to be though when we do conjugate it. So it's very important to be aware of what's going on. Infinitive in English is to be, to go, to be. Well, I'm just using the exact same ones as up here, so I'm conjugating literally. That's why I have two forms of to be, right? Because I have ser and estar. In English, we don't differentiate between them. Other than Spanish, they do. To be, to go, to be, to have, to speak, to eat, to live. What's the pattern that you see here? They all have to be, to go, to be, to have, to speak, to eat, to live. No one is doing the being or the going or the having or the speaking or the eating or the living. It's just the original form of the verb. That's what the AR, ER, and IR ending mean. It's essentially the equivalent of that to be, to go, to have, to speak, to eat, to live. Once you conjugate, it's I am, I go, I eat, I live, I have, I make, you are, you go, you eat, etc. So that's the difference between infinitive and conjugated. Incredibly important if you're going to understand verbs in any language, but most especially in Spanish right now. Alright, you need to know when to use conjugated versus infinitive. You need to leave a verb infinitive when it follows another verb, when you have two verbs together. Like, especially in the cases of gustar, poder, querer, pensar, necesitar. Those ones go really commonly with other verbs. So like, for example, me gusta comer hamburguesas. You only conjugate the first one, you never conjugate the second. Because you're saying, I like to eat hamburgers. You're not saying, I eat hamburgers. Or puedo ir al baño. Can I go to the bathroom? Not can I go to the bathroom. Or quiero bailar. I want to dance. Not I want I dance, but I want to dance. Necesito dormir. I need to sleep. Not I need I sleep, but I need to sleep. So when there's two verbs together, you always conjugate the first one and never the second one. When a verb is in a verb phrase, it needs to be unconjugated. in the end of that verb phrase. So tener que plus infinitive, ir a plus infinitive, volver a plus infinitive, and any of the other verb phrases that we've learned in this course. These examples are not meant to be extensive and not meant to be to exhaust all the opportunities, but tener que and ir a are clearly the most important, most common. If you don't know what the phrases tener que and ir a do or what they mean, you need to go back and review that because it's incredibly important, and they will definitely appear on the final. So a verb phrase, tengo que ir al dentista. I have to go to the dentist. Any generalization, for example, it's important to study a lot. I didn't say I study, you study, we study. That it's important to study. And that's what a generalization is. And then after the phrases antes de and después de. So before studying, I want to eat. Or after studying, I want to sleep. So anytime you have the antes de and después de immediately before a verb, you always follow that with the infinitive as well. And then with para, which means in order to, you also follow that with an infinitive. So for example, like, in order to study, I need my book. So when you use para, like in order to, and you follow it with a verb, in order to study, I need my book. You have to have to study, not I study, you study, we study. But in order to study, I need my book. Muy bien, I hope that helps with that. Now let's look at the types of verbs. I think I'm going to break this into 2 videos. So I'm going to stop now and then we'll open back up momentarily. Okay?